One more book.
Jamonghoie, story by Jassy Senwa Freeman. Written by Wayetu Moore and Wiyandi Moore Everett. Illustrated by Augustus Moore Jr. Once upon a time there was a Vai king named Fode, who ruled a large village on the coast of Liberia. He was the wealthiest king in the history of the Vai people and most loved throughout his kingdom. He owned 500 acres of land that was covered with rice farms and orange trees, goat and more chicken and pigs than anyone could count. Fode was a wise king who dealt with all the people in his kingdom with kindness and generosity. For this reason, his people trusted him and did anything to please him. King Fode had 12 sons who he loved very much. He showed them how to care for the land, and he taught all of them how to hunt and fish. Although King Fode was a kind and fair father, he loved his youngest son more than others. His name was Jamonghoie. Jamonghoie was known through the land for his beautiful voice. He was asked to sing at all of the village festivals and feasts. His voice was so lovely, so pure that when he sang, the birds that sat perched in nearby trees sang along with him. King Fode loved Jamonghoie so much that when he traveled, he took Jamonghoie with him and left his other sons behind. "Sing, Jamonghoie," King Fode would say. "Sing for your father." Jamonghoie always obeyed his father and filled their journey with song. The nearby birds heard them and their songs blended into Jamonghoie's voice. King Fode heard this and he was very pleased. Jamonghoie was a noble prince who loved his father and brothers very much. However, Jamonghoie's brothers resented how much King Fode adored him and were very mean to the young prince. Despite the treatment by his brothers, Jamonghoie spent all his spare moments by their side in hopes of winning their approval. During the rainy season one year, King Fode became very ill. For weeks, the kingdom was visited by medicine men and healers who all hoped they could restore the health of their dear king. Villagers brought him food and gifts and offered words of encouragement by his bedside. After nearly 2 months, when King Fode's health only became worse, he called all of his sons to his side. "Where is Jamonghoie?" King Fode asked. Jamonghoie went to his father and held his hand. "I am not well," King Fode said. "If I die today, I want you all to know that I have chosen Jamonghoie to take over my throne." The princes all gasped and murmured amongst each other. They were confused about why their father would choose the young and frail boy to take his place and rule the kingdom, instead of one of his older and smarter brothers. "But Pa," the oldest brother Baku protested. "Son," King Fode said, holding up his hand. He had already made up his mind. "Jamonghoie will be king, and you all will make sure he is safe and well." Jamonghoie was very happy when he heard the news. He hugged his father in excitement. When the older princes left the room, they communed together in private about what King Fode had said. "He is old, he does not know better," one of them said. "Who is Jamonghoie to rule over us?" "And what are we to expect?" another one asked. "That he seeks the counsel of songs and birds to go about our pa's business?" "Brothers, do not worry," Baku said. He was the most angry of all the brothers after hearing his father's wish. He was the next in line to be king and was very jealous that Jamonghoie would take his place. "I have thought of a solution." On the following day, the brothers went to where they knew Jamonghoie studied every morning. "Take care of Pa while we go," Baku yelled to him. "What? Where are you going?" Jamonghoie asked. "We are trying to find a medicine man," one of them said quickly. "It is Pa's only hope and we want him to live." The medicine men from the inland were known to cure many illnesses by using plants and other natural ingredients from the land. "I want to go," Jamonghoie said. "No, you must stay here with Pa," Baku replied. "Plus, you are too small and weak for a journey like this." "I am not," Jamonghoie insisted. "I want to help. I will go." "No, Jamonghoie, Baku is right. We have to go far inland to find a medicine man, another said. But I can help. Please, Baku, I beg you. Let me come, Jamonghoie begged his brother. Okay, Baku agreed finally. But hurry, we are leaving now. Okay, I will go tell Pa, Jamonghoie said, headed toward his father's house. You know Pa will not want you to go, Baku said quickly. But maybe it will be for the best. It is better you stay here. No, Jamonghoie said. I won't go. I will not tell him then. Then let us leave now then, Baku said. Jamonghoie followed his brothers out of the village. He was happy to be with them, and more grateful for the chance to find a medicine man to help his father. The brothers walked throughout the countryside for hours. They passed the woods where they hunted until they entered a dense forest. When the sun was high above them and Jamonghoie noticed that his legs were hurting from walking, he asked, Where is this medicine man? He lives deep in the forest, Baku answered. I knew you were too weak for this journey. I am not weak, Jamonghoie said. He wanted to prove Baku wrong, so he continued walking as the sun slowly moved across the sky. They traveled further than Jamonghoie had ever been outside of their village. Finally, the brothers reached a clearing in the forest. As they stood in front of the clearing, they all looked at Jamonghoie. Father said that you would be king, so you should go before us and summon the medicine man, Baku said. Although he was a little afraid, Jamonghoie grew excited that his brothers would trust him with such a task. He was eager to prove to them that he could do it. Where is he? Jamonghoie asked. On the other side of the clearing, Baku answered. Jamonghoie left his brothers and continued walking through the forest. He moved further away from them and turned around nervously. Keep going, Baku encouraged. Jamonghoie continued until suddenly in the middle of the clearing, the ground collapsed beneath him. When Baku and his brothers saw that Jamonghoie had fallen into what they knew was the deepest and most dangerous pit in the depths of the forest, they ran through the forest from him. It is finished, Baku shouted, while leading his other brothers out of the forest. They knew that Jamonghoie was stranded and expected he had fallen to the ground of the deep and inescapable pit. Still, they left him there to die. Inside the pit, Jamonghoie tightly held on to a branch that extended outward from the wall of the deep hole. If the branch fell, he would fall down the endless hole and nobody would be able to hear him. Jamonghoie was afraid, but he gripped the branch as tightly as he could. Help! Jamonghoie yelled. Somebody help me! He heard nothing but the sounds of nearby animals in the forest. Somebody please help me, Jamonghoie yelled. But he was very far from the village and anyone who could help him out of the ditch. Jamonghoie called out for help as the sun went down. Nobody heard him. Nobody came to save him. Meanwhile in the village, the princes returned to where their father stayed with sad and grieving faces. What is wrong? King Fode asked as soon as they entered his room. Where is Jamonghoie? He asked after he noticed that his youngest and most beloved son was nowhere to be found among the gathering of princes. Pa, Baku said. We went hunting with Jamonghoie to lift his spirits. He was very worried about you. The other princes nodded in agreement. We did not want him to travel so far since he is the youngest, so we told him to stay where it was safe, Baku lied. But when we returned, he was nowhere to be found. What? King Fode sat up in bed in panic and disappointment. Where is Jamonghoie? We do not know, father. We looked everywhere, one prince said. Baku, how could you let this happen? King Fode scolded his oldest son. Gather a search party and go find your brother at once. Baku and his brothers gathered some of the strongest men and boys in the village to help search for the young prince. However, instead of taking the same path they took Jamonghoie, they led the group in the opposite direction. After days of searching, the princes and men returned to the village to give King Fode the bad news.